Nia DaCosta made history as the first black woman to open a movie at #1, only to follow it with the biggest flop in Marvel history. Yet, she came back stronger than ever with the massive success of 28 years later, The Bone Temple. This stark career contrast forces us to ask, is this a story about a director who couldn't handle Marvel, or a studio that couldn't handle a director? Nia DaCosta made her directorial debut in 2018 with Little Woods, a modern western about two sisters crossing the Canadian border, making desperate choices to survive a broken healthcare system. Little Woods wasn't just good, it was 95% on Rotten Tomatoes good. The kind of debut that makes Hollywood executives go, "Who is this?" The film made $172,000. That's less than what Marvel spends on craft services for a single day of shooting. And yet, it worked. Because in the indie world, money isn't the only currency. Vision is. This lady knew exactly what she was doing. She wasn't just directing scenes, she was building tension in silence, in negative space, in the claustrophobic interior of a truck cab crossing the border. No explosions, no CGI, just two women, impossible choices, and the weight of a broken healthcare system crushing them slowly. This is important. Remember this, because this exact skill, generating stakes through atmosphere rather than spectacle, is about to become both her superpower and her kryptonite. 3 years later, she's working with Jordan Peele directing Candyman. Candyman in 2021 wasn't a remake, it was a reckoning. DaCosta took the original 1992 horror classic and turned it into something sharper, angrier, and impossibly elegant. She used mirrors and shadow puppetry to show violence, not because she couldn't afford gore, but because she understood that the real horror was the quiet erasure of lived black history from Chicago's Cabrini Green projects. The film opened at #1. First black woman director ever to do that. $77 million at the box office. Critical acclaim. A perfect bridge between indie credibility and commercial viability. And here's where the story gets interesting, because this is the moment where Hollywood had to make a choice. They could say, this director clearly thrives when given creative control and thematic purpose. Let's find projects that play to those strengths. Or they could say, she made money, throw her into the content machine. Guess which one they picked? Marvel called.
Work on this problem back in the kitchen.
Now, if you're a filmmaker, this is supposed to be the dream, right? The biggest franchise in cinematic history, unlimited budget, global reach, your name on a poster next to Iron Man and Thor. But here's what they don't tell you. Marvel doesn't hire directors, they hire executors. The Russo brothers got lucky. They came in during the creative upswing post-Avengers, when the MCU was riding high and taking risks. Nia DaCosta got handed The Marvels in 2023. Let me paint you a picture of what that meant. By 2023, Marvel wasn't making movies anymore. They were making homework assignments. To understand The Marvels, you needed to have watched Captain Marvel, WandaVision, Ms. Marvel, and Secret Invasion. That's 1 movie and 3 TV shows. And if you missed even one, good luck understanding why Monica Rambeau has powers, or who Kamala Khan is, or what any of this has to do with Nick Fury. DaCosta, the director who built entire worlds from silence and empty highways, was now directing a film that was essentially a season finale for 3 different Disney Plus shows that hadn't even aired yet when she started shooting. And it gets worse. The script was being rewritten during filming. That's normal for Marvel. They famously fix it in post. But the Marvels had a central mechanic where 3 heroes swap places every time they use their powers. Imagine trying to choreograph that when the story keeps changing. 4 release date delays, constant reshoots, and then, this is where it gets ugly. DaCosta had to leave post-production because she had another film scheduled. A little adaptation of Ibsen called Hedda. Reasonable, right? She fulfilled her contract. The delays weren't her fault. The Marvels released in November 2023. Box office, $206 million worldwide, on a $270 million budget. For context, even Marvel's underperformers usually make $400 to $500 million minimum. This wasn't just a flop, this was historic. The lowest grossing MCU film ever. And the internet? Oh, the internet had a field day. Because The Marvels wasn't just a superhero movie, it was a film led by 3 women, directed by a black woman. A wave of culture war commentary flooded the discourse. while the actual quality of the film became irrelevant. Here's the thing though, even critics who liked the movie admitted it had problems. The villain was generic, the pacing was off, the plot was overstuffed with franchise setup that went nowhere. But you know what they praised? The chemistry between the three leads, the humor, the heart, all the things DaCosta could control. So here's the question, was Nia DaCosta a bad director, or was she a great director handed an impossible task? Let's look at the data. Little Woods, low budget, 95% Rotten Tomatoes. Candyman, $25 million budget, $77 million box office, 85% Rotten Tomatoes. The Marvels, $270 million budget, $206 million box office, 62% Rotten Tomatoes. Hedda, mid-budget, 89% critical acclaim. 28 years later, The Bone Temple, $60 million budget, 94% Rotten Tomatoes. See the pattern? When Nia DaCosta has creative control, when she's allowed to be an auteur instead of a cog in the content machine, she thrives. When she's handed a pre-existing IP with franchise obligations and studio mandates, it falls apart. But here's the kicker, that's not unique to her. Marvel hired DaCosta at the exact moment the MCU was collapsing under its own weight. Franchise fatigue was real. Audiences were tired of homework. Disney Plus had oversaturated the market. And yet, guess who got labeled as the problem?
That doesn't seem fair.
On October 2025, Hedda released in theaters. It's a reimagining of Henrik Ibsen's Hedda Gabler. It was claustrophobic, cerebral, and razor-sharp. Critics went wild. A return to form, they say, as if she ever left. But the real comeback? That happened with 28 years later, The Bone Temple. Here's what you need to know about the 28 Days Later franchise. It's not Marvel. Yes, it's a franchise. Yes, there's a blueprint. But Alex Garland and Danny Boyle designed it to let directors riff. Each film is a tonal variation on the same apocalyptic Britain. Boyle brings kinetic chaos. DaCosta? She brought terrifying stillness, a masterpiece of dread. This felt like her film. She's not executing someone else's vision, she's adding her voice to a chorus, and it's working. The film opened to a strong weekend, because when you let Nia DaCosta be Nia DaCosta, she delivers. Here's what this whole story is really about. Hollywood loves to say it wants diversity, it wants fresh voices, it wants auteurs, but what it actually wants is content. Predictable, franchise-safe, algorithm-friendly content. And when those two goals collide, when a studio hires a visionary director but forces them into a creative straitjacket, everyone loses. The director gets blamed, the audience gets a mediocre product, and the studio learns the wrong lesson, deciding that diversity doesn't sell instead of realizing their system is broken. Nia DaCosta didn't fail Marvel. Marvel failed Nia DaCosta. And the fact that she survived it, that she went from biggest flop in MCU history to critical darling in 2 years, proves something important. Great don't need saving. They need space. DaCosta's superpower is intimacy, atmosphere, using genre as a Trojan horse for social commentary. Those skills require control. They require being able to say, no, we're not doing it that way. We're doing it my way. Marvel's model is the opposite. It's, here's the previs, here's the script, here's the list of franchise obligations, make it work. For some directors, that's fine. For Nia DaCosta, it was suffocating. So where does this leave us? As of January 2026, Nia DaCosta has directed 5 feature films. 4 are critically acclaimed. 1 is a commercial success. 1 is a historic flop. But here's the thing about legacy. You don't get judged by your lows. You get judged by what you do after them. And what she did after the Marvels? She built a bone temple. Literally. She made a horror film so bleak and uncompromising that even critics who hated it admitted it was hers. She didn't apologize. She didn't pivot to something safe. She doubled down on what she does best. And it worked. Because the audience doesn't want safe. They want interesting. At the end of the day, the Marvels will be a footnote, a cautionary tale about franchise fatigue and studio mismanagement. But Candyman? Little Woods? The Bone Temple? Those are the films people will study in film school. Those are the films that prove she was always the real deal. So here's my question for you. Should auteur directors be given more chance in the MCU? Drop a comment. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that like and subscribe button. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.